Hello.
I'm going to ask my first question.
What about the hot dog? And I hadn't eaten one at a time. I said, well, if you like hot dogs, you're gonna love Martinsville hot dogs, and that's the way I got out of it. You was asked the same question.
All right. How many hot dogs did you eat in Martinsville this weekend?
I didn't get to eat but 3. I was busy. Okay. What do you think about the race, man?
If you went and you wasn't pulling for nobody, it might have been a pretty good race. But the only way you would have probably enjoyed it if you was watching the 5 car, because like you just said moments ago, he came kind of from nowhere and wound up the best car at the right time.
Yeah, it was just a messed up race. I mean, the guy sat on pole and ran off and left everybody till they had the first caution flag, and then he never even showed up on the scoreboard from then on. And it was track position is so important. These cars ain't got no horsepower.
Okay.
So they ain't got any horsepower. They can run and catch somebody. If they got the whole track, they can make pretty good time.
Yeah, you brought that up like as we sat watching the race. You brought that up. But
yeah, just like the 22 car, he couldn't even keep up with the 43 car, and the 43 car was 2 laps down.
Yeah.
He couldn't keep up with him, but once he got out front, he had the whole racetrack. Then he was able to maneuver around and make. Probably picked up a half a second. So I see the races. Everybody's basically is running about the same speed, and it's according to whether you're behind a slow car or fast car, whether you make good time or not.
And if he, sometimes if he knocks you a big hole, you can use that too if you're close enough. But, we talked about this, hitting a little bit and bumping each other, but they're probably down to 50 mile an hour in the middle of the corner. And we go to some of these racetracks where they're spinning out when they just you probably take your fist and spin them out. So that it was certainly a different race, but it all started, Richard, when they qualified. It was mixed up. There was a lot of
good cars was in the middle or the back of the field.
I don't want to have to grade the cars, but there's a lot of good cars in the back. So that was going to make
that made it more interesting.
Made it more interesting.
But when they was back in the back, they stayed in the back.
Exactly.
But under pit stops or the way the cautions fell and all this kind of stuff, if they got put up there from 20th place to 5th place, they stayed in 5th place. And I just look like it. To me, they can run and catch people, but once they get close to them, they not got enough horsepower to be able to outmaneuver anybody. So it made it interesting because there was somebody running at somebody all the time, but nobody was really doing a lot of passing that I would see that they had a break and had a chance to do something, but then they didn't have enough go to be able to take advantage of it.
Well, that's basically the way it's been most of the year, Richard, but some of the speedways, and of course, was certainly disappointed with the 42 and the 43, but we was holding our breath that they'd stay on the lead lap to the first stage at 80 laps, and then you brought up the 41 that kind of run off and left everybody, and his problem was he was speeding on pit road. He was put in the back and he stayed there the rest of the day.
Right.
So I don't know.
Me watching the race, it was probably the cars were probably the closest they've run, a lot closer than there was at Richmond or any of the super speedways. So again, the way they got the cars and stuff now, I guess it's really hard for these guys to pass each other. They'll get up there and they'll run and they'll get beside somebody, and the guy kind of gets away from them, and then it takes them 15 laps to catch back up with him.
Yeah, that's the way it's been. But we was at a racetrack one time and we was talking. We was having trouble getting traction, and Lee was wanting to take timing out of the car to kill horsepower, and we wouldn't let him. So, but now you're saying they need more horsepower.
Yeah,
but
now their timing's way back too much.
But and golly, Richard, can you imagine going to a half-mile track like Martinsville and shifting, and not even going to high gear? But
what's going to be interesting is they go from the half mile, the slowest racetrack that we run, and they're going to Talladega, which is the fastest racetrack we run. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's going to be a completely different race but the cars are all going to stay close together, and it's going to be sort of like Martinsville. Where are you at when it comes down to the last lap? Are you in the right position to be able to pass somebody or keep somebody from passing you? So it's going to be basically the same thing. It's just going to be bigger.
Well, you mentioned maybe coming down to the last lap. What about to the last corner or the last straightaway? Maybe that's closer. But you say it's altogether different. I'll say that. We say it's 180 degrees different. It's not 180 degrees. It's 360 different.
It really is. It's going to be completely different.
But no matter what we say,
Martinsville basically was fairly entertaining. Like you said, if you didn't have a favorite car and you just watched, you could watch this group of cars. They was racing each other. This group was racing each other. And there was always somebody trying to get around somebody, even if it didn't get
Well, we watched, me and you sat there and commented on Bubba in the 23 car. He got a penalty, and he come up and caught the 8 car, and they must have raced 20 laps there, and I don't know, it just got so boring. I quit watching him, watching something else. But like you say, they couldn't pass, and a car could run on the outside a little while, and then
I know Erik in the 10 car, he got hung behind the 6 car, and they got probably a full straightaway ahead of him, and they was racing for third. And once he got by him, he ran and caught the
three cars that
first two cars in front of him.
Brought that up.
But he just drove off and left them. I mean, I guess behind the car he couldn't get by him, but once he got by him, he just drove off and left him.
But he was one of the better.
That's what's kind of weird, and I know it's weird for the drivers and the crews to figure out what are they doing, what can we do, and it's just a mixed up bag. Again, track position is so dadgum important now, especially when the cars don't have any horsepower.
Yeah, and a lot falls back on the crew chiefs. I mean, the pit crews too. But I guess
just like the number 4 car, he had a winning race car, and they messed up in the pits.
Left the wheel loose,
and then he wound up 15th or 20th.
20th, I think. But it was Chase's first race back, and we raced. I say the 43 car and the 42 car raced with him all day, and he wound up 10th, which was a good comeback for him and the crew.
Some of it was the way some of them stopped before they had a caution flag.
Okay,
and that really that changed the whole dynamics of the race. And so you had some of the guys that was back here, all of a sudden they're up there, and they wind up finishing up there, and the guys that was up front leading the race and doing all that stuff, they got caught, and the game was over.
But we're talking about we're going to the fastest speedway on the circuit this coming weekend at Talladega, and they got a pit road speed there for 45 mile an hour.
Yeah,
I'm assuming when you was racing, we was over the wall changing tires. I think the speed limit was probably somewhere around 200 mile an hour when they come off
down
the race.
Pit road.
Down pit road, yeah. So it'll be.
Anyhow, I think everybody's gotten through with Martinsville, and they're all saying, okay, we've got a good chance. Basically, when you go to Talladega, again, track position, the way things work out, the guy that's maybe running 30th at Martinsville has a chance to win the race.
Well, probably going into Talladega, there's probably 36 cars that's got a chance to win the race.
Right track, right position, the whole deal. And it's according to how, hopefully they don't have all these wrecks and stuff, and they can do some racing instead of just trying to finish because somebody's sitting in the pits.
But the big thing going to Talladega it's always been you try to stay out of the big one.
Just stay out of the wreck, and you're gonna be okay.
And I guess
bring me back 4 wheels and the steering wheel. I'm gonna finish pretty good.
And being able to roll it on the truck. But one thing disappointing about it from Martinsville, they won't have the hot dogs.
We'll miss the hot dog. Maybe we'll call Clay and tell him to ship us some to Talladega.
He'd probably do it.